It was my 28th birthday when I read the text from Mom. No one's coming to your party. Grow up. I read it twice, trying to process the words. It wasn't a private message. It was in the family group chat, where everyone could see it. Dad, Lily, my aunt, all silent. Only my cousin reacted, with a laughing emoji. I replied with one word. Understood. Sitting on my couch, I couldn't help but feel the weight of years of being taken for granted crashing down on me. It wasn't just this one message. It was the culmination of being the responsible one, the one who never said no, the one who always bailed them out. Since I turned 24, I've been the financial backbone of the family. I paid the $2,300 rent every month, covered car payments, groceries, and even Lily's endless expenses, like the trip she took to Miami last spring on my dime. It wasn't that I offered, they just made it seem like my duty. You're the stable one. We raised you. Now it's your turn to help out. You know Lily is struggling right now. But that text on my birthday? That was the last straw. I couldn't do it anymore. I opened my banking app and canceled the automatic rent payment. Then I called the credit card company and removed every authorized user from my account. The last step was retrieving the car I had bought for them. The next morning, I drove over, took the spare key from its usual spot, and left without saying a word. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even hurt anymore. I was just done being a convenience. I had always thought that maybe, one day, they would see how much I did for them. I imagined some moment where Dad would pat me on the back, proud of how reliable I'd been. That never came. Instead, I got, grow up, on my birthday. 2 days passed without a word. Then I got a call from Lily. You took the car? Seriously? She yelled. Yes, I replied calmly. I paid for it. It's mine. Do you know how inconvenient this is for me? She snapped. I couldn't help but laugh. You'll figure it out. Like I always did. She hung up. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was unsettling. I realized they never expected me to push back. In their minds, I was permanently obligated to take care of everything. They didn't see me as a person with limits, they saw me as a resource. Later that night, I checked the family group chat. More messages had popped up. You're being selfish. Family sticks together. We raised you better than this. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened a folder on my computer where I had saved screenshots of every bill, every transfer, and every time they dismissed me when I needed support. I wasn't keeping these to justify myself to them. I was keeping them to remind myself that this was real. I wasn't imagining their lack of respect. Lily posted a vague status online. Some people only think about themselves. Can't believe how selfish family can be. Her friends chimed in with supportive comments. I didn't care. I wasn't doing this for their approval. That weekend I sat down with my best friend, Ryan, at our favorite diner. I did it, I said, barely touching my coffee. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Did what? I cut them off. No more rent, no more car, no more credit cards. He let out a low whistle. Finally. You've been talking about this for years. How do you feel? Relieved? Scared? Like I finally took my side? Ryan smiled. About time. You deserve to put yourself first. That night, I slept better than I had in years. I wasn't just physically free. I was free from the guilt that had been weighing me down for so long. In the days that followed, the silence from my family was deafening. I half expected them to show up at my door demanding answers, but they didn't. Instead, they took to social media, posting vague messages about betrayal and how family doesn't abandon each other. Lily was especially vocal, painting herself as the victim of a selfish brother who left them stranded. I knew better than to engage online. Instead, I focused on my own well-being. Ryan checked in frequently, making sure I wasn't second-guessing my decision. Don't let them drag you back into their mess, he reminded me over a game of pool one evening. I know, I said, lining up my shot. It just feels weird. Like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. They're probably still figuring out how to manipulate you back, Ryan replied. Stay strong. Then it happened. One evening I came home from work to find Lily on my doorstep. She looked furious, arms crossed, glaring at me. You can't just cut us off like that, she snapped. Yes, I can, I replied calmly. I'm not obligated to support you. Her eyes narrowed. Mom and Dad can't pay the rent. They're freaking out. You're just going to let them end up on the street. They're adults, Lily. They should have figured this out a long time ago. She scoffed. You're being petty because no one came to your stupid party. I shook my head. It's not about the party. It's about years of being taken advantage of. You know how many times I've asked for a little appreciation? Just once, to feel like more than a wallet? And you all just laughed it off. Her expression softened, but only slightly. So you're punishing all of us? No, Lily. I'm just done enabling you. You're 24. Get a job. Figure it out. She left, muttering under her breath, and I could feel the tension fading as she walked away. I knew I had done the right thing, but I couldn't deny that it hurt to see my sister refuse to understand my side. The next day, Mom called. I hesitated before answering, but curiosity got the better of me. Alex, why are you doing this? She asked, her voice softer than I expected. I'm done being your financial safety net. I replied. We raised you. We did everything for you when you were younger. And I've been repaying that debt for 4 years, Mom. I paid your rent, your car, your bills. I've been taking care of everyone while you and Dad keep giving Lily a free pass. She sighed. It's just, we didn't think it bothered you that much. I almost laughed. You never asked? You never cared to see how it was affecting me. She didn't respond right away. I could hear her breathing on the other end, probably thinking of a way to twist it. I just wish you'd talk to us before doing something so drastic. She finally said. I tried talking. You never listened. This is me taking care of myself for once. There was a long pause. I'll talk to your father, she said quietly before hanging up. After the call, I felt emotionally drained. It wasn't the closure I wanted, but it was a start. At least she didn't yell or accuse me of being selfish this time. Maybe, just maybe, they were beginning to understand. That night, I met up with Ryan again. She actually sounded like she was listening? He asked, surprised. Yeah, but I'm not convinced it's real yet. They're just trying to figure out how to get me back on the hook. Ryan nodded. You're right to be cautious. Just keep your guard up. I couldn't help but wonder if they would really change or if this was just another manipulation tactic. Regardless, I was determined not to go back to the way things were. I had put my life on hold for too long. Now, I was finally living for myself. A few days later, I got a message from Dad. We're trying to work things out. Your mom is looking for a part-time job. Just give us a little time. It wasn't an apology, but it was something. I didn't reply, but I felt a small sense of relief. Maybe I wasn't just a walking ATM to them anymore. That weekend, I treated myself to a small birthday celebration. Ryan invited a few of our friends over, and we just hung out, laughed, and grilled in the backyard. No one mocked me, no one dismissed my feelings. It was just genuine friendship. For once, I felt like I wasn't the odd one out. As the night wound down, Ryan patted my shoulder. You did good, Alex. Don't let anyone make you feel bad for finally putting yourself first. I knew he was right. Setting boundaries didn't make me selfish, it made me human. And for the first time in years, I felt like I was finally being true to myself. A week after the confrontation with Lily, I was starting to get used to the quiet. No more late-night calls begging for money. No more emergencies that were somehow always my responsibility. It was strange but freeing. One evening, as I was making dinner, my phone buzzed. A message from Dad. We're managing, but it's tight. Your mom got a part-time job at the grocery store. Just thought you'd want to know. I stared at the screen, feeling a mix of relief and guilt. I hadn't expected them to actually take responsibility. I wasn't sure whether to respond, so I just left it unread. That weekend, Ryan convinced me to join him for a day hike. As we trekked up the trail, he could tell I was lost in thought. Still thinking about your family? He asked. Yeah, I admitted. I didn't expect them to actually make changes. I thought they'd just keep pushing me. He nodded. Maybe they're starting to realize that you're serious this time. Maybe, I said, kicking a loose rock on the path. But I can't help feeling guilty. Like I just abandoned them. Ryan stopped and looked me in the eye. You didn't abandon anyone. You just stopped being their crutch. There's a difference. His words made sense, but it was hard to shake off the guilt. I had spent so long being the one they leaned on that now, without that weight, I wasn't sure how to move forward. The next day, I finally replied to Dad's message. Glad to hear Mom is working. Hope things keep improving. It wasn't much, but it was enough to show that I wasn't cutting them off emotionally, just financially. That night, while scrolling through my social media, I saw a post from Lily. It sucks when people who should be there for you just walk away. Families shouldn't act like strangers. The comments were full of sympathy, and a few people tagged me, clearly assuming I was the villain in her story. I didn't reply. I didn't want to drag our issues into the public eye. I knew the truth, and that had to be enough. A few days later, I got a call from Aunt Karen. I hesitated before picking up. Hey, Alex. She greeted, sounding hesitant. Just wanted to check in. Your mom told me about everything. I figured. I replied cautiously. I get why you did it. She continued. Honestly, I'd been telling your parents for years that they shouldn't rely on you so much. But they just kept saying, Alex is doing fine, he can handle it. I sighed. They never asked if I was fine. They just assumed. I know, and that's not right, she said softly. I'm proud of you for standing your ground. They need to learn how to manage without you. Her support was unexpected but comforting. After hanging up, I couldn't help but feel validated for the first time since making my decision. Maybe I wasn't the bad guy here, just someone who had finally had enough. That evening, I decided to focus on something new. I signed up for a cooking class, something I had always wanted to try but never had the time, or the mental space, for. The first class was awkward, but by the second one, I found myself enjoying it. The instructor was friendly, and it felt good to learn something just for me. One night, after class, I noticed another message from Dad. I know we put too much on you. We didn't see how much it was weighing you down. I'm sorry, son. I stared at the message, not sure how to react. It wasn't a perfect apology, but it was more honest than anything I'd heard from him in years. I didn't reply right away. I needed time to process it. Later, as I sat on my couch, I realized that I was finally getting what I had wanted all along: acknowledgement. Not just for the financial support, but for the emotional burden they had placed on me. I wasn't ready to dive back into the family dynamic, but this felt like progress. That weekend, Ryan and I met up for coffee, and I told him about the message. Wow, he said, leaning back in his chair. That's huge. You think they're changing? I don't know, I admitted. But it's a start. I just hope it sticks. He gave me a reassuring smile. Even if it doesn't, you did what you needed to do. You finally put yourself first. And he was right. Whether my family learned from this or not, I had taken control of my life. For the first time in years, I was choosing what was best for me, not just what kept the peace. With every passing week, life felt a bit more balanced. I wasn't constantly on edge, waiting for the next financial crisis to hit. Work was less stressful, too, now that I wasn't drained by constant family demands. Ryan kept me grounded, reminding me that sticking to my decision was the right thing. One evening, during my cooking class, the instructor asked me to help demonstrate a technique to the group. It wasn't much, just chopping vegetables properly, but it felt good to be seen as competent and valued for something other than my paycheck. Great job, Alex, the instructor praised, and the other students clapped. I couldn't help but smile. After class, I checked my phone and saw a message from Aunt Karen. Your dad's been talking a lot about you lately. I think he's finally realizing how much he relied on you. It's good that you stood up for yourself. I replied with a simple, thanks, Aunt Karen. I needed to hear that. The next day, as I was heading to work, I got a call from Dad. I hesitated but picked up. Hey, Dad. Hey, son. Just wanted to let you know that your mom picked up a few extra shifts. We're figuring things out. That's good, I said cautiously. He paused. Look, I know we messed up. We didn't think about how much we were putting on you. It wasn't right. His words hung in the air. I wasn't used to hearing him admit fault. I appreciate you saying that, I replied. I guess we just got too comfortable. He continued. But I want you to know we're trying. Your mom and I have been talking a lot lately, and we're proud of you. You've done more for this family than we realized. It wasn't a full apology, but it was a step. Thanks, Dad, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. After a moment of silence, he cleared his throat. You should come by sometime. Maybe have dinner. Just to talk. I didn't commit. Maybe. I'll think about it. He didn't push, just said, all right. Take care. When I hung up, I felt a mix of relief and confusion. Part of me wanted to believe that things were changing, but the other part remained cautious. I had been burned too many times by promises that things would get better, only to end up carrying the load again. That evening, I decided to focus on myself. I cooked one of the dishes I had learned in class and invited Ryan over. As we ate, I told him about Dad's call. Sounds like progress, Ryan said, scooping more pasta onto his plate. I guess. I just don't know if I can trust it. Then don't. Not yet, Ryan advised. Let them prove it to you. They're the ones who have to make the effort now. He was right. It wasn't my responsibility to bridge the gap. They needed to do the work. The following weekend, I got another message from Lily. Are you seriously not coming to Mom's birthday? It's messed up that you're holding a grudge. I took a deep breath before replying. Lily, I'm not holding a grudge. I just needed space. You all relied on me too much, and it wasn't fair. I'm not saying I'll never come back, but I need time. Her response was quick and defensive. You're just being selfish. We're family. You don't just cut family off. I didn't respond. I knew better than to get sucked into the same cycle of guilt. Later, I talked to Aunt Karen again, and she told me that Lily had been complaining to everyone about how I had abandoned them. She's got a lot of growing up to do. Aunt Karen sighed. She's always been coddled, and you took on that role without even realizing it. I just wanted to help, I admitted. And you did, but at your own expense. You're allowed to take care of yourself, Alex. You're allowed to step back when it's too much. Her words sank in. For so long, I had felt like walking away made me a bad son, a bad brother. But I wasn't abandoning anyone, I was just protecting my own well-being. The next week, I received an unexpected text from Mom. I understand if you're not ready to come to my birthday. Just know that we love you. We'll be here when you're ready. It wasn't perfect, but it felt like a small olive branch. Maybe, slowly, they were starting to see things from my perspective. I still didn't know if I was ready to visit, but at least the blame was starting to fade. That night, I sat on my balcony, watching the city lights. For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel burdened by my family's expectations. I was living my own life, one that wasn't defined by their needs. It felt good. It felt right. As the days went by, I found myself thinking less about my family's reactions and more about what I wanted for myself. It wasn't easy, but every time doubt crept in, I reminded myself why I made the decision. I deserved a life that wasn't defined by constantly fixing their problems. One evening, after another cooking class, I got a message from Dad. We miss you, Alex. I know things haven't been easy. Just wanted you to know that I'm proud of how you're handling your life. I didn't say that enough before. I sat on the edge of my bed, reading the text over and over. It wasn't just the words, it was the tone. For once, he wasn't demanding anything or trying to guilt me. He was just acknowledging me. The next weekend, Ryan and I decided to check out a local festival. It was the first time in a while that I let myself just enjoy being out. We wandered through the stalls, tried some questionable street food, and laughed more than I had in months. As we sat down on a grassy patch, eating loaded nachos, Ryan nudged me. You seem lighter, he observed. I guess I feel lighter, I admitted. I didn't realize how much I was carrying until I put it down. Ryan smiled. Funny how that works. You've been living for them for so long, you forgot how to live for yourself. Yeah, I agreed, wiping cheese off my fingers. And I'm not going back. Back at my apartment that evening, I saw another message from Lily. You really think you're better than us now? Just because you're doing your own thing? You're selfish. I didn't respond. There was no point. Arguing wouldn't change her perspective. I couldn't force her to see how enabling her had done more harm than good. The next day, Aunt Karen called. Hey, kiddo, she greeted warmly. Just wanted to check in. Your dad was talking to me the other day. Sounds like he's starting to understand. I hope so, I replied. It's just hard with Lily. She doesn't get it. She thinks I'm abandoning them. Karen sighed. Lily's always had things handed to her. You know that. You stepped into the role of provider too young, and now she can't fathom a world where you're not fixing everything. It'll take time for her to grow up. I just hope she does eventually, I admitted. She will. Just keep your boundaries. You're doing great. Hearing that from Karen was reassuring. For so long, I had equated family support with self-sacrifice, but now I was seeing that setting boundaries didn't make me a bad brother or son. It just meant I was protecting my own well-being. That week, I got another message from Dad. Thinking of having a small family dinner next month. No pressure, but it'd be nice if you came by. Your mom's been cooking a lot more lately, says it's helping her feel useful. It was a simple invitation, but it didn't feel like an obligation. I thought about it for a while before replying. I'll think about it. I'm glad Mom's doing better. A few days later, I decided to call Dad. When he picked up, his voice sounded more relaxed than usual. Hey, Dad. Just wanted to catch up. I started. Good to hear from you, son, he replied. How's work going? We talked for a while, about my job, the cooking class, even the festival. It was surprisingly normal. He didn't bring up money, didn't hint at needing help, just wanted to know how I was doing. Your mom's been looking at some budgeting apps, he mentioned near the end of the call. She says it's helping? That's good, I said, feeling cautiously optimistic. And, Lily's looking for a part-time job. We told her she needs to start pitching in more. That caught me off guard. Really? Yeah. She's not happy about it, but she'll figure it out. We wrapped up the call on a surprisingly positive note. I didn't know if things would truly change long-term, but for the first time, it seemed like they were at least trying. That night, I sat on the balcony with a cup of coffee, reflecting on how much had changed. It wasn't a perfect resolution, but it was a start. I knew that visiting for dinner would be a challenge, but maybe it was time to slowly rebuild, not as their provider, but as their equal. In the weeks following Dad's call, life felt more stable than it had in years. Work was going well, and I'd even started making a few friends through the cooking class. My evenings were no longer filled with worry about the next family crisis, and it felt like I was finally living on my own terms. One afternoon, while grabbing coffee, I bumped into Aunt Karen. She looked surprised but happy to see me. Hey, Alex! Fancy running into you here, she greeted, giving me a quick hug. We sat down, and she caught me up on the family news. Your mom's been sticking to her job at the grocery store, Karen said with a hint of pride. And your dad's been helping her figure out the bills. I think they're finally realizing how much you did for them. That's good, I replied cautiously. Karen nodded. Lily's still sulking, though. She got a part-time job at a retail store, but she keeps complaining about how hard it is. I couldn't help but laugh. About time she got a taste of real life. Exactly. She's used to everyone picking up the slack for her. But I think your decision is forcing her to grow up, whether she likes it or not. As we finished our coffee, Karen touched my arm gently. You've come a long way, Alex. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for putting yourself first. They'll adjust. Thanks, Karen. I really needed to hear that. That evening, I finally made a decision. I texted Dad. Hey, I've been thinking. I'm open to the idea of a family dinner. But I want to set a few ground rules first. He replied almost immediately. Of course. Just let us know. I thought carefully about what I wanted. This wasn't just about showing up. It was about making sure the dynamic didn't slip back into the old pattern. I texted back. I'll come by, but I'm not here to fix anything. I just want to catch up, nothing more. And I don't want any talk about money or guilt trips. Dad's response was brief but respectful. Understood. We just want to see you. The day of the dinner arrived, and I found myself feeling a mix of nerves and curiosity. I hadn't seen them in person since the birthday text incident. Ryan offered to drop me off, giving me a pep talk on the way. Remember, you're doing this for you, not for them. You're allowed to leave if it feels off, he reminded me. I know. Thanks for the backup, I said, appreciating his steady support. When I arrived at the house, Mom greeted me at the door with a hesitant smile. Hi, Alex. Come in. The place looked cleaner than usual. Mom had set the table, and I noticed homemade dishes, more effort than I'd seen in years. Dad was in the kitchen, stirring a pot, and he actually looked relieved to see me. Hey, son. Glad you made it, he said, giving me a quick nod. Lily sat on the couch, scrolling on her phone, but she barely looked up when I walked in. Typical. Dinner was surprisingly peaceful. They didn't bring up money, and Dad even asked about my new hobbies. You're taking a cooking class? He asked, genuinely curious. Yeah. It's been fun. Something just for me, I replied. Mom chimed in. Maybe you could teach me some of what you learned. I'm trying to cook more. I nodded, surprised at how natural the conversation felt. Halfway through, Lily finally spoke up. So, you're just back like nothing happened? I took a deep breath, steadying myself. I'm not back, Lily. I'm here for dinner. There's a difference. She rolled her eyes. You just walked out on us and acted like it's no big deal. Dad cut in, his tone firm. Lily, enough. Alex did what he needed to do. We should be grateful he's even here tonight. She looked taken aback, clearly not expecting Dad to take my side. For once, I felt like I wasn't the villain in my own story. After dinner, as I was about to leave, Mom pulled me aside. Thank you for coming. I know it wasn't easy. We're trying, Alex. I hope you know that. I gave her a small smile. I can see that. Just keep working on it. I can't go back to how things were. We understand, she said softly. Back in the car, Ryan asked how it went. It wasn't perfect, I admitted, but it was better than I expected. They actually listened. Even Dad didn't let Lily get away with her attitude. Ryan grinned. Sounds like progress. Just don't let your guard down too quickly. I won't, I assured him. But maybe, just maybe, they're starting to get it. That night, I reflected on how far I'd come. I wasn't the person who sacrificed his own well-being for others anymore. I was learning how to live for myself while still leaving the door open for family, if they respected my boundaries. It wasn't a perfect resolution, but it was a step in the right direction. The day after the family dinner, I woke up feeling lighter. It wasn't that everything was magically fixed, but for the first time, I felt hopeful that maybe, just maybe, change was possible. Ryan was right, I needed to keep my guard up, but I couldn't deny that it felt good to have a peaceful dinner with my family. A few days later, I got a message from Dad. Thanks for coming over. It meant a lot to your mom. I know it's still complicated, but I'm proud of how you're handling things. We're trying too, I replied simply. I appreciate it. Let's keep working on it. Meanwhile, Lily remained distant. I could still see her vague social media posts hinting at feeling betrayed, but I chose not to engage. It wasn't worth the mental energy. I knew that she had a long way to go before understanding that my decision wasn't about hurting her, it was about finally prioritizing myself. One evening, Aunt Karen invited me to her place for dinner. When I arrived, she greeted me with a warm hug. I'm proud of you, Alex, she said as we sat down. Not many people would have the courage to stand up to their family like you did. It didn't feel like courage at the time, I admitted. It just felt necessary. She nodded. Sometimes taking care of yourself is the hardest thing to do. Your parents are starting to see that, I think. Your dad mentioned how he hadn't realized how much he was leaning on you. That's the first time he's ever admitted that, I said, surprised. Give them time. They'll come around. And if they don't, at least you're finally living your own life. After dinner, as I walked home, I thought about what she had said. I couldn't control how fast my family changed, or if they ever truly would. But I could control my response to it. I wasn't going to compromise my well-being just to keep the peace. Later that week, I got another message from Dad. Mom wants to do a small family barbecue next month. Just us. No pressure, but we'd love for you to come. I thought about it. I wasn't sure if I was ready for another family gathering so soon, but I also didn't want to shut the door completely. I'll think about it, I replied. Over the weekend, Ryan and I went hiking again, retracing the trail we had walked months ago when I was still overwhelmed by guilt. As we reached the top, I looked out over the city, feeling a sense of calm that I hadn't known in years. You seem more at peace, Ryan observed, leaning against a rock. I guess I am, I replied. I'm not waiting for them to change anymore. I'm just focusing on me. That's the way to do it. Whether they catch up or not, you're building your own life. They can either respect that or stay stuck. That night, I sat down and wrote out a list of goals, things I wanted to do just for me. More cooking classes, maybe even taking up guitar again like I used to before life got so complicated. I wanted to visit a few places I'd never taken the time to see. It wasn't about proving anything to anyone, it was about experiencing life on my own terms. A week later, Mom sent me a message. Just wanted you to know that we're proud of you, Alex. We miss you, but we're working on things. Take care of yourself. It wasn't an apology, but it was an acknowledgement. I could live with that. As I lay in bed that night, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: peace. It wasn't perfect, and the path ahead was still uncertain, but I was finally living for myself. I knew that staying strong wouldn't always be easy, but I was committed to it. I wasn't the same person who carried the weight of everyone else's problems. I was Alex, capable, independent, and finally prioritizing my own happiness. Whether my family kept moving forward or stayed stuck was up to them. I was done waiting.